All right. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. We are back. We are continuing with our look at the triennial Torah portion. This week, we are going to be looking at Numbers chapter 4. Numbers chapter 4. We're going to look at Numbers chapter 4, and we're going to actually be continuing with the idea, the topic, do your duty. Do your duty, part 2. Do your duty, part 2. Okay, so we're going to again be dealing with Numbers chapter 4 as our foundation, and then we're going to go and look at some scriptures in the Abrit Hadashah to kind of think about this from a standpoint of right now. Okay, so we're going to begin by just reading through some of the 4th chapter here. Let me go ahead and pull this up. Pull up the 4th chapter. Numbers. I'll read some. Let's read down. Let's see. Let's just start by reading down through 23. Will give us a good foundation for what we want to talk about today. I'll just start reading there at verse 1, nice and loud.
And Yahweh spoke to Moshe and to Aaron, saying, Take a census of the sons of Kehath from among the children of Levi by their clans, by their father's house, from 30 years old and above, even to 50 years old, all who enter the service to do the work in the tent of appointment. This is the service of the sons of Kehath in the tent of appointment, the most set apart matters. At the breaking of camp, Aaron and his sons shall come, and they shall take down the covering veil and cover the ark of the witness with it, and shall put on it a covering of fine leather, and spread over that an all blue wrapper, and shall insert its poles. And on the table of showbread they shall spread a blue wrapper, and shall put on it the dishes and the ladles and the bowls and the jars for pouring and the showbread on it. And they shall spread over them a scarlet wrapper, and cover the same with a covering of fine leather, and shall insert its poles. And shall take a blue wrapper and cover the lampstand of the lights with its lamp, and its snuffers and its trays, and all its oil vessels by which they serve it. And they shall put it with all its utensils in a covering of fine leather, and put it on a bar. And over the golden slaughter place they shall spread a blue wrapper, and covering it with a covering of fine leather, and shall insert its poles. And shall take all the utensils of service with they serve in the set apart place, and shall put them in a blue wrapper, covering them with a covering of fine leather, and put them on a bar. And shall remove the ashes from the slaughter place, and spread a purple wrapper over it, and shall put on it all its utensils by which they serve there, the fire holders, the forks, and the shovels, and the basins, and all the utensils of the slaughter place, and shall spread on it a covering of fine leather, and insert its poles. And when Aaron and his sons have finished covering the set-apart objects in all the furnishings of the set-apart place at the breaking of camp, then the sons of Kehath shall come to lift them, but let them not touch that which is set apart, lest they die. These matters are the burden of the sons of Kehath and the tent of appointment, and the oversight of Eleazar, son of Aaron, the priest, is the oil for the light, and the sweet incense, and the daily grain offering, and the anointing oil, and the oversight of all the dwelling place, and all that is in it, with the set apart place and its furnishings. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe and to Aaron, saying, Do not cut off the tribe of the clans of the Kehathites, from among the Levites, but do this to them, and they shall live and not die when they approach the most set apart objects. Aaron and his sons shall go in and appoint each of them to his service and his burden. They are not, however, to go in to watch while the set apart objects are being covered, lest they die. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, Take a census also of the sons of Gershon by their father's house, by their clans. Register them for 30 years old and above, even to 50 years old, all who entered to perform the service and to do service in the tent of appointment.
Okay, very good. So we see, as I said, it's kind of a continuation from what we dealt with on last week in terms of kind of the breaking up of the Levites into the four families, and saying what their duties entail. And so we want to go back, just look at a couple things here. First of all, when we see these people over here, the priests, all the Levites, if we look at verse 3 over here, it says from 30 years old and above, even to 50 years old, all who enter the service to do the work in the tent of appointment. And so we see over here, there is a age requirement to function as a Levite and as a priest. Actually, if we look over in a few chapters down, I believe it's chapter 8, we see 25 years. It's probably safe to assume that those 5 years in between is really it's an apprenticeship. I'm just gonna say that's what it is. When we look at these the priests and the duties of the priests, there was a obvious period of learning before you began to do the work. They didn't have no kids up in here. You might have been able to go and fight, right? But you wasn't able. I'm saying the Levites, they didn't fight, but I'm saying you might have been of age to fight, but that didn't put you at age to work in the service of the Most High. From a principle standpoint, I don't know why, this wouldn't be something, at least a starting point to be able to use for us today, right? I feel like in my mind, and I just had this realization probably recently. Actually, I just thought about it, and somebody could put in the comments if you think I'm wrong. But if you don't have any gray in your beard, I don't want to hear what you have to say. I'm just saying that. I'm just gonna say that if you need some time to get some experience and some things before I'm able to hear what you're saying, based on this principle that we see over here with the priests. They had to be 30 to start doing the work. They lived a little bit of life, right? They've had some experiences. They've had some training, right? Some training. And so, again, from a principle standpoint, we can't not pay attention to these things. When you look out here and you see these pastors of churches and congregations that you can't just come out of seminary school. How old do you get out of college? About 21. That's not old enough. That's not old enough. It's not even to the youngest age that we see in the scriptures. I'm just saying these are things that people sit up here and they talk about the idea of that's Old Testament or whatever, but we can't deny. I'm not saying that. I'm saying people say that, but we can't deny these basic principles that we see put forth. There's not novices out here doing the work of the Levites, and furthermore, when you look at this, these are the things that all of the Levites are doing, not just the sons of Aaron. And so you have these sons of Kohath, who it says over here that, let's see here, let me see who's mine. It says that they shall put a covering of fine leather and spread over that with the blue wrapper, and shall and verse 7, and on the table of showbread shall they spread the blue wrapper, and shall put the dishes and the ladles. They're covering these holy things, right? They're covering the holy things, and they're responsible for taking care of these things that are used in the tabernacle. They're not using the things. They're in charge of covering the things and moving the things as need be. These are important tasks. Yes. They're important tasks. When put a paper towel in. When the tabernacle, when they move, it's necessary to have these things be in place, right? But yet and still, there is a limit on when they're able to do it. A 21-year-old is capable. No, he needed it. A 20-year-old is capable of covering something with a blanket. He's physically able to do it. But the scriptures over here says that he will not do it.
Not there.
He will not do it until
He's 25 or 30.
he's 30. What was you going to say?
I was just going to say that experience is so key But the issue is that people want the fast track. I don't want to say people. I'm saying just in general terms. I think.
But you're talking about people, though.
I'm saying people. I mean, I wouldn't if I could get a college degree. If anyone could go and be a doctor or a lawyer or some engineer or I don't know, I'm just throwing things out there in a day.
That'd be amazing.
There would be a million of them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But a surgeon got to go to school for like a whole bunch of years.
Yeah.
And a lawyer got to read like a whole bunch of long, boring books. And, just in general terms, training in general terms, even if you look in the military or whatever, it takes work and energy and effort and time. And so it's sad, but a lot of Hebrews are being trained by people who are just learning themselves.
Yeah.
So they're being brought along a learning journey with people who are learning. And so I really enjoy the fact that the priests had 5 years of learning with no leading, just straight learning. And then they was able to start doing the work.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then nobody was saying, well, I think I saw that like 10 times already, so now I know it well enough so I can do it myself.
Yeah. Yeah. It don't say that. It don't say until you feel like you're ready, then you could do the work.
No.
It said from
specific.
30 years and upward, even to 50 years old.
And nobody was asking the Most High, why did you choose these ages? Why couldn't you have said 32?
Yeah.
Why couldn't you have said, you know what I mean? Like, it's just there's just this rebellious spirit about people whenever you do have these type of guidelines and these type of rules. Now, this is coming down from the Most High. And so it's just going to be his way or you just, you're not in the camp,
Yeah.
But I just think that it's very key. Experience is necessary. Training and age is necessary.
Yeah. Yep. It's a very important component. And so when we go down, let's go down here and look at verse 23, because again, we see that these is giving you the duties of the Levites, right? You have the sons of Aaron who were the priests, and then the other families who were the Levites who took care of the. I don't want to say. I don't want to put value on the things that they've done. They just did other things in the tabernacle. Okay, so I want to look at. Let's go down to verse 23. If I can get my. Here we go. I want to look at a few words here. If we look over here at. Let's see here. All right, what we want to do here, let's see. I want to pull up this. I want to look at let's see, dictionary. All right, so we want to look at, it says, verse 23. All who enter to perform the service. That's what I want to look at, this word here that's translated as service. Service, which is abodah. Abodah. Which means service, work. The word means let's see, the word encompasses the wide varieties of meanings of the English word work. Okay, this word here, let's see here. Let's see, hold on 1 second here. Oh wait, service. Hold on, I want to look at this word here. Form. That's the one I wanted to look at. We're going to talk about service, but first I want to talk about this perform. Perform, which is tsaba. Tsaba. We have this tsadi, the bait, and the olive. It is meaning to wage war, to muster into service a mass of persons. Here, what is this here? This is a word study. Let's look up Strong's, where it says massive army assembly. Fight, perform, muster, wait, wars. Interesting that we have this word here that's when we look at this, that all that enter in to perform the service. So, but the word means to muster persons, or being organized for war, right? And so we have these people, these Levites, that are kind of being mustered, gathered together, a mass of persons being organized and ready for a thing. We know that this over here is not dealing with a physical war that they're getting ready to perform, because they had the men of Israel who were doing that. Over here, these men, of course, are doing the things that pertaineth unto the tabernacle. But again, this word that's being used, where it says that all who enter to perform, or all who enter who are gathered together for the collective purposes of these things. We have this word here, which is tsava. This word, let's see, I want to look at some other things over here in terms of this word perform. I want to pull up the whiteboard over here so we can look at some of the things that we could think about in terms of the ancient Hebrew. We think about the word Saba, which is a tzadi. It's a tzadi, and it's a bait, and it's a olive. I got these little skinny. Okay. And so for the ancient, it is a man on his side. There's a tzadi, which looks like this. A bait, which is a floor plan for the house. And then we have the aleph, which is the ox's head. And so when we look at this from a ancient perspective, we see the man on his side. The man is on his side. And so when you think about the man on his side, he's on his side because he's down, like in the prone position, ready for battle. Right? So he could be on guard, or he could be hunting, right? He could be just in some type of a stealth position where he's on his side and he's ready for movement. Okay? And so he's on his side, he's ready for movement, and he's protecting then the house. He's protecting the house because he's on his side, ready for movement, crouched down in his prone position, outside of that which builds the house. Okay? With strength. Okay? And so when we think about this idea of this word tsava, which is translated as to perform, we can think about all these aspects in terms of the idea of gathering outside of that which builds the house, prepared and ready and mustered and gathered together to fight, to perform, to to go to war with strength. And so, as we said before, when we think about the idea of these priests, these Levites, they were ready, right? They were ready to perform a task. They were qualified. They were qualified to perform the task, right? They were, there's training involved in the performance of the task, right? Moses had to show the first ones how to do everything, right? But then once they saw how they were supposed to do it, and then now they went ahead and they of course had to keep these customs alive, right? So that, again, they're in the wilderness for 40 years. And so all throughout this time, they moved as the cloud of the pillar of smoke and the pillar of fire moved, so did they. And so if they're constantly moving, they're constantly breaking down and setting back up the tabernacle. And it took these qualified individuals to go and do the work. Okay? And so let's go back over. Let's pull back up the verses over here. We got something else I wanted to look at. Here again, we think about the idea of these ones who were mobilized, who were assembled together for this duty. But also here, let's go to let's go down to let's look at this real quick. Let me pull this up. Let's look at Romans. No, let's not do that first. Let's go down to this word over here. Let's go back to verse 23. Let's go back to verse 23 and look at some other things, because we already think about the idea of mustering, gathering together, doing the things that's necessary to perform these tasks. But they're performing, what is it that they're performing? They're to do the service. Okay, so they're entering into to perform the service, to do the service. Right? So we want to look at these things because they're mustering together with intent on performing a particular mission. They're performing this thing to perform the service, to do the service. And so let's look back again at verse 23. Perform service. That was abodah. You want to look at that, abodah, which is to work of any kind, act, bondage, bondservant, labor, ministering, service. So there's servitude involved in this service, in terms of being one that serves. So now when we think about the idea of the man who's crouched down, who's in a prone position, who's ready for war outside of that which builds the house with strength, this person is a servant, right? He performs a particular service, right? And of course, this service is unto the Most High. This service is pertaining to that which is holy, right? So he's doing this work. He's doing this service for the kingdom, for the people, towards the Most High. And so let's look over here. Let's go out back to, let's see. Let me pull up Romans now. Romans. What verse was that? Here. Nine and 4. Let me make this. Okay, can you read for us verse?
4.
Just read 3 and 4 here.
It says, "For I myself could have wished to be banished from the side for the sake of my brothers, my relatives according to the flesh, who are the children of Israel, to whom is the adoption and the esteem, and the covenants, and the giving of the Torah, and the worship, and the promises."
Okay, so I think what we're looking at over here in this version here, it translates as worship. In the King James, I think that's gonna say service. The service of Elohim. Or over here is the same thought, is the worship of the Most High. So when we think about the things that we do unto the Most High, our service, our worship is service, right? All the acts that we do on the Most High behalf is our service, right? And so we think about the idea of us as a people, Israel, again, our duty is service unto the Most High. It's this word over here, this abodah word. Okay, so let's go back and look at this some more, because when we look at this verse over here, it says it about all of the priests that perform the service, to do the service. But I want to just look at this. See, chapter 4, 23 again. Okay, right. To perform the service, to do the service. Okay, so that, I think, is just going to be a derivative of the same word we're looking at. If you perform the service to do the work. Okay, we can see from here that this service and the work is the same word. Okay, to perform the service, to do the work. And so let's look at this word here, to do, which is abad, which is the root of abodah. Okay, so these words are connected. Okay, so they're almost the same word, right? When you think about the idea of serving or tilling or to keep or bondman, bond service, right? All these things, these action words that you're doing, performing the task unto the Most High. I have this etymological dictionary of the Hebrew, right? And so for abad, I should have made a little picture of it. I have it over here. Some of the things ways that it describes this word abad is working purposefully, giving service, directing energies to another's goal, right? You're directing your energies to the goal of the Most High. Okay? All of these things are things that we think about when we think about this idea of this service, performing the service to do the service, or performing the service to do the work in the tabernacle. Now, of course, again, this was pertaining to the priests and the Levites that worked in, for the tabernacle. But again, just like we talked about on last week, we can't, we're able to think of ourselves in that way because we are all a nation of kings and priests, and we have a work, have a service to do and perform. There's things that we must do, as Israel in this new covenant experience. Let's look at Ephesians chapter 2, verse 10. Let me pull that up. Ephesians 2 and 10.
Says, for his workmanship created in Messiah Yeshua unto good works, which Elohim prepared beforehand, that we should walk in them.
Okay, very good. So when we think about the fact that we are his workmanship, Yeshua's, created in Messiah unto good works. The thing that Messiah causes us to be are people who bring forth good works, that we should walk in them. Okay? And so this is just dealing with the fact that we, as followers of Messiah, doing our duty is us doing these good works, this service unto the Most High. Let's look at this here. Let's look at Titus 2:14.
It says, who gave himself for us to redeem us from all lawlessness and to cleanse for himself a people, his own possession, ardent for good works.
That says ardent for good works. The King James says zealous, I think it says. What does it say now? Zealous of good works. Like you want to be doing good works.
Mm-hmm.
What does word mean? Let me see here. You're a zealot for good works, though. You out here, you like one of these people. You like an extremist. You out here just doing all types of things that's dedicated to your cause. But in this case, what does it say? A zealot, one zealous for or eagerly desirous of something. You're eagerly desirous of good works. Right? When we think about, and this is everybody who gave himself for us to redeem us of lawlessness, to cleanse for himself a people that are, this is what he wants. He wanted to cleanse for himself a people that was vigorously desirous of good works. Like, we love to do righteousness. Like, we love doing it. Like, it's like this is like what we do. Like, this is our life. Our life is about doing righteousness. And we're like if you're zealous, like, think about things that you're just really excited about and that you do. Like, and when you get the opportunity to do this thing, whatever it is that you're excited about, you're doing that thing.
Yeah.
We got those things in our life that it's just like, oh, you talking about that? Oh man, I love doing that. But we is supposed to be like that in regards to righteousness and walking in the character of the Most High, ardent for good works. Okay, one more. Let's look at this over here. Let's look at Hebrews. Hebrews 10. We want 24. We want to look at 25, but just read 24 and 25.
Let us be concerned for one another in order to stir up love and good works, not forsaking the assembly of ourselves together as the habit of some, but encouraging, and so much more as you see the day coming near.
Okay, very good. So this over here talking about now. It said that not forsaking to hold on 24. What did I say? 24 and 25.
Yeah.
Stirring up love and good works in one another.
Yeah.
So I'm over here ardent for good works. And I see maybe you not as ardent. So I'm supposed to be stirring up ardency. I don't know if ardency is a word or not. Zealousness. Okay, thank you very much. We supposed to be up here stirring up ardency in others to see some good works coming out of them. It says stir up love and good works. Okay? And so, because that's what we're supposed to be doing. Just like how the priests had their thing that they did, and that was their thing that they did. We too have our thing that we do, and it looks like loving righteousness, and then not only loving righteousness, but causing our brothers and sisters to well, they should be loving it, but stirring up that love of it inside of them too, and good works. So maybe my good works is slacking. So my brother's supposed to be stirring them good works up inside of me. Come on, man. Come on, man. You got some good things that you could be doing. Come on. Let's do it. Right? Stirring it up in one another. That's the work that we do, right? Because we don't have a temple. We don't have a tabernacle. We don't have these priests and these Levites. But we have a tabernacle that is one not made with hands. You know, we are now the tabernacle of Elohim. And so therefore we need to be able to look back at these principles that we see in Numbers as it pertains to the ones who performed the service to do the work unto the Most High, which is you and I. And so if we look over here, when it talked about in Numbers, where it talked about the priests had to make sure that the Levites didn't touch the parts. They covered them up first, and then the Levites came and then they did their coverings. They put their covering over top first to make sure that they didn't touch the parts that wasn't supposed to be touched by anybody but the priests. And so we can see right there a picture of one group looking out for the other group. Everybody doing their specific roles, making sure that other ones, aren't moving into other people's situations, which in this case would be harmful for them because if you touched it, you died. Right? So there's a type of protection that we see for one another in Numbers over there.
For like raising children.
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, you basically are putting things out of the reach of children that they might swallow or harm them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's how we're supposed to be out here with, a lot of these people are coming into the fold.
Yeah. People coming in, but also one another though as well. Right? And so, we have a responsibility now for not only for our own duties and things, but we also have a responsibility for those around us and then those that we bring near. And so when we look over here, all of the Levites, they had things that they were responsible for, right? And only they were able to perform those things that they were tasked to do, right? The priests, they did the work with the sacrificing, and then they covered up the main the ark and all of that so that it could be further covered by the other Levites and moved around by them, right? And so each one had the thing that they was in charge of doing. And so we talked about everyone's duty. We talked about everyone's duty to be a light, and somebody who is a spreader of the truth of Messiah. But we also have to think about our responsibility to the nation, to the community, or the assembly, or the congregation, the body of Messiah, right? Because when we look over here at what we see with the priests and the Levites, we see that there's things that the priests did to protect the Levites, and then there's things that the Levites did also as a help to what the Levites were responsible for. So let's look over here. Let's listen. I just want to read a couple more verses of this before we keep on going. Let's go back over to Numbers chapter 4. Then drop down to verse 24. Let's see, read down 24 through 26.
So this is the service of the clans of the Gershonites, and serving and bearing burdens. And they shall bear the curtains of the dwelling place and the tent of appointment with its covering, the covering of fine leather that is on it, the covering of the door of the tent of appointment, and the screens of the courtyard, and the covering for the door of the gate of the courtyard, which is around the dwelling place and slaughter place, and their cords, all the equipment for their service, and all that is made for them, so shall they serve.
Okay, very good. So it talks about there what the Gershonites, what they did, their part in the thing, right? They had their part to play, which was necessary. Every single part was a necessary thing. Let's drop down to 29 here. Start reading 29. Read down to 32.
As for the sons of Merari, register them by their clans and by their father's house. Register them for 30 years old and above, even to 50 years old, all who enter the service to do the work of the tent of appointment. And this is the duty of their burden, according to all their service for the tent of appointment, the boards of the dwelling place, and its bars, and its columns, and its sockets, and the columns around the courtyard, with their sockets, and their pegs, and their cords, with all their equipment, and all their service, and assign to each by name the equipment of the duty of their burden.
Okay, very good. So we see over here with these sons of Merari, who they had their duty that they did. Each one of them had their tasks that they was to perform, assigned to them by name, for them to go and do this thing or that thing, right? And so nobody else could do these person's job but them. Right, and it was a necessary situation, because again, this was they were mobile. They was moving throughout the wilderness. They was building. They was taking the tent down and putting the tent back together. It was necessary for each and every one of them to be able to go and do all the things that was necessary for the task to be done. And then if it couldn't get done, how was it going to get done? It had to be done by the people who was assigned to the task. Each thing was a necessary thing. And so again, when we think about the idea of you now doing your duty, right? Understanding that the thing that the Most High has given to you to perform, how's it gonna get done if you don't do it?
Wow.
It can't get done.
Somebody gotta do it. If it ain't you, then who?
If it ain't you, then who? Who gonna do it?
Especially if you see it need to be done.
Where's my Bible?
I'm about to say what you.
Where's that verse at where it be like, if the gospel ain't preached, if the gospel be hid, the people that is going to suffer is the lost, the ones who need it. What is that? The gospel be hid. Is that 1 Corinthians? Yeah, that's what it say right there. That's what it say. If it be hid, it's hid to them that are lost. Let me see if I can pull it up on here. We done said the whole verse anyway.
I know, like you found it?
No, I didn't find it. I'm about to search it.
There it is. This 2 Corinthians.
Oh, 2 Corinthians 4.
4:3.
You done said the whole verse. If you look at it.
But if our gospel be hid, it is hid to them that are lost.
I mean, that's somebody having a job to perform, and then but they not performing the job, and so there's people that's lost. That's lost because your job ain't being done.
True.
He said, if our gospel be hid, it ain't hid to you because you got the gospel.
Yeah.
But it's hid to the ones that's lost who need it. And so when we think about this idea of each one of these Levites having a task and the thing having to be done, they don't talk about what happened if you don't do it. They don't talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
Because they did it. It wasn't no if somebody don't do it. Like they had to move and they had to build back up. They had to, because they're doing all this to perform they got to do the sacrificing and all of that,
Right.
which was a necessary thing. There's not a if they don't do it, then what happens? What law command is that? If they don't put the thing up, then what happens? I don't think I could find that. It don't exist. Right? You had to do the things. So when we think about us today, having to bring some practical application to these things that we're thinking about in terms of numbers and the priests and them performing their necessary duties, the same thing is true for you and I.
Mm-hmm.
Like we got to do the thing that the Most High has said that we supposed to be out here doing. I want to look at 1 Corinthians, thinking about Numbers chapter 4 and the duties of the Levites, bringing this up to us. I want to look at 1 Corinthians chapter 12. First Corinthians. Let's go back to our this thing's lagging a little bit. Okay, let's look at read 1 and 2, verses 1 and 2 there.
1 Corinthians 12:1. And concerning spiritual gifts, brothers, I do not wish you to be ignorant. You know that you were nations led away to dumb idols, even as you might be led.
Okay, very good. So we see over here, this here, he said, I don't wish for you to be ignorant. He said, I don't wish for you to not know through lack of information or intelligence, by implication, to ignore through disinclination, to be ignorant, to not know, to not understand, or for these things to be unknown to you. When we think about the idea of not knowing the Most High, not knowing Yah, there's nothing that's more important, right, than that we know the Most High, that we know Yah, that we know who Yeshua is and what He came to do for us.
And let me add to that, because I think also it's really important to know that you don't know. If you don't know that you don't know, because people think they know. Like,
Yeah.
that's one of the things. I think that's one of the biggest things, lessons or mysteries. I think people need to be able to pour out of their cup is you don't know. When you start this journey or this walk, you need to think everything you thought you knew and pour that out, and that comes with humility. Because to be able to soak up the whole scripture and what it is, you gotta forget everything you know, and be poor and let this whole thing pour into you. You still got stuff in you.
Yeshua said
It's
that
not
we're supposed to be
space
as
for
little
it.
children.
Little children, you don't know, and that's that part of that ignorance is to know, is to accept that you're ignorant to certain things, so you can be filled with the right thing.
I mean, we could think about it when he says the idea of do not wish for you to be ignorant or not know. Taking you back to, he don't want for you to remain as the child that you're supposed to be in the beginning, in the first place.
Right, you ain't gonna stay there.
He wants for there to be a growing.
Right.
He wants for there to be a knowing. And you obviously have to go from he talks about the fact that what you were this, but I don't want you to be what you were. I want you to be this over here, not being ignorant.
And it take humility, like the bridge from who you are, what you think you are now, to get to what he wants you to be, your best self.
Yeah.
That bridge is humility.
Yeah.
You gotta go across that bridge of humility.
Yes. The bridge of humility.
I think even though we do grow, right, and we become,
Full grown.
We go from milk to meat. We'll still always be his child.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You always,
Just because you're eating meat now,
yeah.
don't start acting like you too big to take orders from your father.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeshua was
Well, you never too big to take orders from your father.
right. Yeshua was the ultimate humility. I mean, he's continuously humble,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so this goes along with what we saw over in Numbers. We talked about the Levites who were numbered from 30 and above. I mean, a 30-year-old, you're a full-grown man. You're fully grown at 30 years, right? But as far as the Levites, that's just the beginning. That's just where it starts at. And so you have to think about the idea of you have this full-grown man who's fully grown as far as his physicality is concerned, but in terms of his occupation, in terms of his convocation, he's at the bottom. He just got here. And so even with that, you see this situation where there has to be this humbling of oneself and this room for growth and learning and knowledge. And so when we think about what the writer is talking about over here, in terms of spiritual gifts, brothers, I do not wish for you to be ignorant. And so when we think about the idea of spiritual gifts, if we look at Galatians in chapter 5, Galatians chapter 5 and 22 and 23, what's that say?
22. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, trustworthiness. Keep going. I'll let it
22 and 23.
Gentleness, self-control. Against such there is no Torah.
Okay, so when we see the fruits of the Spirit, we're talking about the character of Yah. This is his character, right? Embedded in our hearts that causes us to walk in his will and in his ways. So he wants for us to exhibit his character. And when we exhibit his character, this is us manifesting his character, his fruits of the Spirit. And so if we go back to 1 Corinthians.
But the Spirit of love, real quick. I mean,
What you mean?
Like where, in that scripture there, where it says you talk about the love.
Yeah.
Some people don't know what the love is. Where it say the love. You went back, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's get what the Spirit, what love is that?
Well, it's the love of the Most High. So when you think about, this is what I try to tell people, that when you think about love, it's not like this emotional lovey-dovey love.
Right.
Like, ooh, baby, I love you so much, love.
Right.
Right? Love is a decision, is a choice that I make. And I say, I'm going to deal with you in a particular way. In that I love my children. My actions, that the way that I treat them is not based on what they do necessarily. It's because they're my children. I love them. They're my children. I want the best for them. I'm going to do what's best for them. I guess my children's not the best example. My wife, she didn't come from me, right? My children, they came from me, right? They're part of me. I must love my children, but I choose to love my wife. I chose it. I said, I'm going to deal with you in this way, and that's the way that I deal with you. Not because of anything else, but the fact that this is what I'm saying. And so when we think about the Most High, the way he deals with Israel, he loves us as his people because of something that had nothing to do with us, but it had to do with Abraham. He said something, he made a vow basically to Abraham and said that you're going to be my people, I'm going to be your Elohim. And so the Most High made a decision. He made a choice to say that we're going to be the set apart people, even though we're excellent at wickedness. And so that showed you that we're his people not because of how good and how righteous we are, but we're his people because he made a decision and said that we're going to be his people. And so it's about a choice. It's about a decision. If I love you, I'm going to deal with you a certain way. And so people sit up here and say that they love you, but it's not love because they're not dealing with you right.
Well, people sure seem to be confused because I see a bunch of brothers on the corner talking about, we're better than you. We're the chosen.
Yeah. But if you love your people, right, you can't really talk to your people like that. You know what I mean? Because they're in wickedness.
Right.
Because he called us all out of wickedness where we was at. That's where he found us at. And so he didn't call us out because we was this holy, righteous people. He called us out because we was this wicked, disgusting people that he decided that he was going to do. The thing I love, you actually get an amazing example of love with children.
Yeah.
It's amazing how they are.
Right.
Because if a grown man takes his belt off and start beating me with it, I'm gonna feel a certain kind of way the next time that we interact with one another. But the children, they forget. They love you again.
Yeah.
They love you again.
Yep.
What is that? That's the Most High showing you. He teaches us love through these relationships that we have.
Right.
Because love is not reactionary. It's a matter of fact. It's something that's there, and it don't have nothing to do with the way that we deal with one another.
Let's get it. 2 John 1 and 6. It says it.
Oh, hold on one second. Go ahead.
It says, and this is the love that we walk according to his commands. This is the command that as you have heard from the beginning, you should walk in it.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, what you explaining here, like, the only reason you gotta pull the belt out for your children anyway is if they going the wrong way.
Mm-hmm. Try
And
to
so
bring them
that's
back.
that's the love to say, hey, that ain't the right way. That's not that's not the commands. This is you walk according to the command.
Yeah.
You going outside of the command, so we try and get you back in line with the commands. In the physical sense, with children, you gotta use a belt, man. And the adult, like you saying, you can't pull a belt out of a man. and it, you know.
Because I'm taking baths off Tuesday.
A belt
A
battle.
belt fight, like they do it.
You taking yours off, I'm taking baths off Tuesday.
Right. But like when the scriptures say when you first come to the faith, be as a little child though.
Mm-hmm.
So in the spiritual sense, you know, you gotta have that mindset of where if you walking outside of the commands and people trying to hold you and keep you in a straight line,
Yeah.
we ain't gonna beat you.
Yeah. Maybe.
Belt.
Yeah.
But you gonna in the spirit, you gotta be open. You gotta be willing to accept your ignorance.
Yeah.
To be like, oh, this person might, even if you don't agree. There are people I don't agree with all the time, and I'm gonna hear you out. If you say I'm doing something wrong, I'm gonna hear you out.
Yeah.
Because there might be something in there where I could do better.
Right.
Something I could reflect, because clearly a person probably got across to me my interpretation might be off, or communicating to them might be off. So it's like, oh, I could probably say this better so they'll get it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of things is like, loss of communication. But if we not want to be humble, we'll never get to that place.
Right. And so when we think about looking over here at First Corinthians chapter 12, where the writer is talking about the idea of not wanting for the people to be ignorant concerning these spiritual gifts, and thinking about the fact that these spiritual gifts are things that are manifestations of the character of the Most High. And so seeing that, I don't know what that is.
It says Ebony's out. Let me go talk to her.
What?
Hold on one second. We have some technical difficulties here. All right, so when we think about what we see over here and the necessity for us again to think about each and every one of our roles, right? The things that we're supposed to be doing, the things that we're supposed to be responsible for, things that you just was talking about deals with all of us performing each of our roles. Is where I have this thing that I do, and then you have this thing that you do. You don't do what I do, I don't do what you do. We're both necessary for the thing to be able to work. Now, if I want to sit up here and thinking about Numbers chapter 4, each one had to do their part. The ones I didn't do the other person's part. I waited for them to do their thing, and then I did my thing. And so the same thing is true when we think about this over here. What he's getting ready to get into is that this is a necessary situation. And in verse 2, he talks about the fact that there's a way that you were. That you were part of the nations. You was on the outside. You was in a place where you was led away to dumb idols, even as you might be led. But now we live in such a way where, as followers of Messiah, where we don't live according to the ways that we formerly did. And so, there's a difference.
Right.
If we operating in love, if we operating in the spirit, I guess I should say maturely operating in the spirit, because if I'm operating in the spirit, I should see the spirit of the Most High in you when you dealing with me.
Right.
Unless I didn't get to that place yet. But we also have to understand that there's a process to getting to that place, which is something else that we see when we look back at Numbers. Because again, you talking about the 30-year-old, he's fully grown. So his age don't got nothing to do with it, because him being 30, he's still just beginning his situation. So there's things for him to learn.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have to understand that we have to be in a place where we're able to lean and learn and grow from other people, and not try to be doing the whole thing by ourselves. Because when we look over here, what he's about to get into is dealing with the whole of the people. So let's keep on going. Let's look over here at let's look over here at verse 3. Let's look at 3 by itself.
Therefore, I make known to you that no one speaking by the Spirit of Elohim says Yeshua is a curse, and no one is able to say that Yeshua is master except by the set apart Spirit.
Okay, now this kind of goes along with what we was talking about in terms of the fact that if you say that you love Messiah, you say that you love Elohim, then that's going to reflect in your behavior.
Mm-hmm.
If you say that you're a follower of the Most High, that's going to reflect in your behavior. There's no way that somebody who is someone who by the Spirit of Elohim is going to curse Yeshua. You're not going to bring Yeshua to nothing with your words or with your actions by the Spirit of Elohim. The Spirit of Elohim is not going to move you to put a bad light on Yeshua. The Spirit's not going to move you to do that. He said, no one speaking by the Spirit of Elohim says Yeshua is a curse. But when we think about this from like a fuller context, nobody by the Spirit of Elohim, by the Spirit of Elohim, is going to be doing things that's contrary to Yeshua.
Exactly.
The Spirit don't make you do that.
Right.
Go ahead.
Not the righteous spirit, a wicked spirit.
Well, yeah, not the Spirit of Elohim, I should say.
Exactly.
The Spirit of Elohim is not going to cause you to do that.
Because like you said, by your actions, I should see the spirit inside of you.
Yes.
So the book shows you what it looked like,
Right.
and your actions prove what you know.
Actions
I
do
always say
indeed
that. Your
prove what
actions prove what you know.
Who you are.
And prove who you are.
It make you a truth or a lie.
Exactly. And you can, and it's
It's
once-
all of your
and
actions.
the point is you gotta. This book is spirit. You know,
It's spiritual, that's what
You
it says.
you put this book on when you consume it, like Ezekiel did. That metaphor of consuming the book.
Mhm.
It's consuming your spirit. Now it becomes your spirit.
Yeah.
You're living it
Yeah.
because it's action.
Yeah.
Once you take it in, you digest it like your food. You get nourished from your food. You eat food, you get energy, you can move. This is the same thing on the
Yeah.
spiritual level.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
And so I'm not going to bring a curse upon the name of Yeshua through my actions, through my deeds and actions, through the Spirit of Elohim. The Spirit of Elohim just not going to do that.
Mm-mm.
So when I sit up here and say the Spirit told me to do this or that, and the this or that I'm talking about brings shame on the name of Yeshua, I'm a lie.
Absolutely.
From the pit of hell, I'm a lie.
Yeah.
Because it can't be done. You can't do it. You can't bring shame upon the name of Yeshua. And the Spirit of Elohim be the thing that's behind it.
Exactly. Because he proved it. Satan came to him in the wilderness, and he
Tried to
toe
get him
to
to
toe.
break the word. Tried to get him to go against the word.
He went toe to toe with him and told him about it.
No.
So it was like,
No,
yeah,
that's not what the word says.
Exactly.
Let's go back and see what it says.
right.
It didn't mean what you think, what you trying to make it mean. And so the same thing is true when we see over here. No one's able to say that he's the master, except by this. You're not able to speak out of your mouth and say that he is your master if he's not really your master.
Right.
It's the relationship that you have with him, with Yeshua, that cause you to be able to truthfully say that he is your master, because he's your master. You're doing the things that that he says for you to be doing.
Exactly.
There's a connection between the things that you're saying and the things that you're doing, and both of those things align themselves with Messiah.
There's a scripture in Matthew 7 where it talks about, I think it's Matthew 7:21 or 22, where it talks about,
You pull it up?
yeah, you can pull it up. Matthew 7:21.
It says, "Not everyone who says to me, Master, Master, shall enter into the reign of the heavens, but he who is doing the desire of my Father in the heavens."
Right? And then it goes on to say, yeah, 22.
Okay, many shall say to me in that day, Master, Master, have we not prophesied in your name and cast out demons in your name and done many mighty works in your name? It says, and then I shall declare to them, I never knew you. Depart from me, you who work lawlessness.
Yes.
So, it's saying there that some people are doing some works, right?
Yeah, people,
Yeah,
yeah.
they're doing some works,
Yeah.
but they're not doing all of the things that they need to be doing. So you could be casting out demons,
Yeah.
you could be prophesying,
Yep.
you could be doing all of these wonderful works
Mhm.
and be lawless, and it's all nothing.
Exactly.
He said, I never knew you. He said, I never didn't have a relationship with you.
And they knew his name. They was using
They
his
knew
name.
all that.
He said, okay, you good, but I don't know you though.
It was never authentic.
You know what I mean?
It was never authentic.
Right.
You heard about me. You heard about what what's the name and them said, but we didn't never have nothing together.
Yeah.
He said, I never knew you.
Yeah.
And so we got to think about that. We have to think about that. Here, put some more in there. All right, sip it a little bit. Put some more in. We have to think about our actions, and our deeds have to correspond with what we say that we are. That's how you know. That's how you know. But when we look over here in First Corinthians, we go back to First Corinthians. That's basically what we see over there, is that what you saying got to correspond with who you really are in Messiah. He don't want for you to be ignorant, because we talked about this already. This is a spiritual war that we going in, that we dealing with out here. And so he wants to make sure that we not the way that we used to be out here with following these dumb idols.
Yep.
And being led like these like they do in the nations, like we did. We was following dumb idols. We were doing. But he's saying that we got to cause for our words and our deeds to match together. Okay, keep on going. Read down to 7.
And there are different kinds of gifts, but the same Spirit. There are different kinds of service, but the same Master. And there are different kinds of workings, but it is the same Elohim who is working all in all. And to each one is given the manifestation of the Spirit for profiting.
For profiting. And so what we have to understand is, just like we look over here and see, we're talking about these different kinds of gifts and this one Spirit, this one connection. The thing that's the same among us all is the presence and Spirit of the Most High. But there's different gifts. And so we have different things that we're responsible for. There's different things that we got to do. Some people's the priest, some people's the Levite, some people's the Gershonites, some people's the of the sons of Merari, right? And so all of them had to be working, but all of them had to be doing their own, performing each one of their own tasks. And so when we think about it from a new covenant standpoint, it's the same thing, right? There are different kinds of gifts. There's different areas that this one is an expert in, that another one is not. There's different kinds of services, but there's one master. There's different kinds of workings, and it's just one Elohim working all in all.
Right.
And so we got all kinds of differences, but we working towards one goal, and we need each other to get there.
Right.
Each one of us is given the manifestation of the Spirit for the profiting of everybody, of the whole, of everything. And so we have to think about this and get away from, this culture that we live in causes us to want to be individuals instead of a collective.
Yeah.
And
It's easier for you to be, eaten up by the wolves when you're out. It's like the lions. When you see them hunt,
yeah,
they don't go for the whole pack. They
Right.
wait for that one stray, that
Yeah.
one little straggler.
yeah, yeah. And so we live in a society that teaches us to be the straggler, and they teach us that actually is the best way.
I think it's most prevalent among our people.
Right.
We the ones who quit. On my own. I mean, because here's the thing: the problem is. Okay. It's flashing on. Well, the problem is we got the problem is we so used to it, and that's the comfort zone.
Yeah,
Because if you look at all different types of people, nations, and all that, they can work together. You know what I'm saying? There's power in that. That's how you conquer people. You get X amount of people together to say, all right, we're going to do this. You can take down any other people. That's the power of it.
yeah.
But I'm going to go conquer the world myself.
Mm-mm.
And anything you do, you need other people. If you want a business, you need other people to bring you money for the services and goods you put out. So either way, you're going to serve people. You're going, the scriptures say we servants to each other. So either way, you need people.
Yeah.
And another thing we do is we reject wisdom. We reject the wise amongst us. Like, young people nowadays, being children, they don't know. They're old. You know what I mean? Like, they don't know what they're not. They don't know what's going on out here. They're old. We reject wisdom to set us on the right path. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's the exact opposite of the way that that thing is supposed to be set up inside of Israel. It's the exact opposite of that. If we go back, let's keep on going. Let's start reading that verse 8.
Verse 8, it says, "For to one is given a word of wisdom through the Spirit, and to another a word of knowledge according to the same Spirit, and to another belief by the same Spirit, and to another gifts of healing by the same Spirit, and to another operations of powers, and to another prophecy, and to another discernment of spirits, and to another kinds of tongues, and another interpretation of tongues. But one and the same Spirit works all these, distributing to each one individually as he intends."
And so when we look at the way that the people, the followers of Yeshua, are to operate, it's like unto when we look back at Numbers chapter 4, where you had the priests and you had the Levites, and they each one of them had their own particular duty. None of their duties was the same job, and they needed every single one of their jobs in order for the whole thing to function.
Real quick, so after reading this, so is it safe to say that one of these people shouldn't care what somebody else in the body thinks, or you know, because it says by but one in the same spirit works all these. People need to understand that you like, oh, I don't care what so and so thinks, or this person thinks.
Yeah, that's
If you're a part of a body, cool, this doesn't have to be that same spirit. It's the consensus.
that don't make no sense, that person's thought process, because when I read this right here, this one over here is an expert at this, by through the spirit. This one over here, the spirit give him this. This one over here, the spirit give him this, and it give me this.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got the thing that I got. How am I going to sit up here and act like I don't need what you got
Right.
when I got what I got?
Exactly.
But sometimes we talking to people who they ain't got nothing. They don't know what they got. They got something. They don't know what they got.
Yeah, they don't know what they think.
And it seems like the people who don't know nothing are always the ones trying to get their advice.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think you know this is the way you do it.
yeah.
They never done it.
And
They never done it.
Yeah. And so when we look at this over here, and again, this is not a new thing. We read this in Numbers chapter 4. When we deal with the nation of Israel, the new covenant nation of Israel, everybody has their job and their place and their thing that they do.
Right.
And so we can't sit up here and say, I'm just going to do whatever I need to do, and it don't matter what you have to
Right.
say about it.
That means the spirit ain't working in you, because it say, but all the same spirit works and all.
It
So the
can't
spirit's supposed to govern
It
all
can't
of
be.
us
Right.
to be able to work together.
Right.
Yeah.
That means you don't got the spirit. You got to remove yourself from the people who trying to work in the spirit.
Right.
If you're giving me your a word of wisdom through the spirit, and then I want to fight against what you saying, how could that be of the same spirit?
It's not.
It's not. It's not of the same spirit. And so this is what we gotta think about. When people, people want to sit up here and be these lone wolves. That's not the we don't have that example in the scriptures. Nowhere. The scriptures don't work that way. It don't work the way that the Most High set up his new covenant kingdom. Ain't that. It's not that. It's about everybody working together for all of our betterment. All right, let's keep on going over here. Let's look at verse 12. It helps us even more.
It says, "For as the body is one and has many members, but all the members of that one body, being many, are one body, so also is the Messiah. For indeed, by one Spirit, we were all immersed into one body, whether Yehudim or Greeks, whether slaves or free, and we were all made to drink into one Spirit."
Okay, very good. So again, the same thing kind of told a different way. We talk about these many members, one body. Many members, one body. We're all working towards a singular goal through the power of the one Spirit.
So if you got the arm injured, the whole other body should be feeling it, right? You know what I'm saying?
Well, you saying what this says in here. Let's read some more, because what you just got from this saying is in here.
Mm-hmm.
Here, read 14.
It says, "For indeed, the body is not one member, but many. If the foot says, because I am not the hand, I do not belong to the body, does it therefore not belong to the body?
Nah, that's silly.
And if the ear say, because I am not an eye, I do not belong to the body, does it therefore not belong to the body? If all the body is an eye, where would be the hearing? If
Can't hear nothing.
if all hearing, where would be the smelling?
Can't hear nothing. Can't
But
smell
now Elohim has set the members, each one of them, in the body, even as he pleased. And if they all had been one member, where would the body be? And now there are indeed many members, but one body. And an eye is unable to say to the hand, I have no need of you, or again the head to the feet, I have no need of you. But much rather those members of the body which are thought to be weaker are necessary. And those of the body which we think to be less respected, these we present greater respect, and our unseemly members have greater seamlessness. Whereas our seemingly members have no need, but Elohim blended together the body, having giving greater respect to that member which lacks it. That there should be no division in the body, but that the members should have the same concern one for another. And if one member suffers, all the members suffer with it. Or if one member is esteemed, all the members rejoice with it. And if you are a body of Messiah and members individually, and Elohim,
Yeah, that's good right there. So let's talk about this. We talked about a whole bunch of stuff, but what you had said had to do with this verse 26. If one member hurt, it said if one member suffers, all the members suffer with it. We suffer together. If you got problems, I got problems.
Right.
I'm doing good.
You
You doing good. That's what it say right there. And so this ain't about no individuals. This is about a body with many members. And some people's a foot, some people's a hand. If we got a whole bunch of feet, we might be good at running or standing or walking, but we ain't too good at holding or punching or lifting, because all we got is feet. We need some hands.
and then a lot of times if the foot get wounded, the hands gotta fix it up. And sometimes it can be painful when the hand get a wound out or something too. You
need
get
the
mad,
hand.
you gonna
You need
heal
that.
up. But you need the hands for the feet.
And we don't think like this. We don't think like this. There's something wrong with us. We've been conditioned to have this individualistic mentality and think that we don't need it. And ego and pride, the way that this society grooms us, is just to cause us just to be these egotistical maniacs, where we won't accept help. I don't need nobody. I could do it by myself. All this, and but when we come to the Most High, the highest one, who knows everything, he said for us to be dependent upon one another.
So one thing the arm shouldn't be doing is stabbing itself in the leg,
No.
trying to shoot its foot,
No.
or talking bad about its ear because it won't listen.
And this is something that we have to be able to understand in the body of Messiah, is that each one is necessary. Each one is necessary. Just like in Numbers chapter 4, Each one is necessary. Each one has a job to perform. There's one body. There's many members, but we have to be, about the collective. Be the best, whatever it is that you are, but understand you part of a body. Be the best arm or foot or leg or nose or mouth or whatever that you could be, but understanding that you're a part of a body in Messiah. When we talk about being in Messiah, that's what it's about. It's about a body and us literally needing one another to get to the place that we need to be at. And so here, read okay, finish it up. 28, verse 28.
And Elohim has appointed these in the assembly, firstly emissaries, secondly prophets, thirdly teachers, after that miracles, then gifts of healings, helps, administrations, kinds of tongues, are all emissaries, are all prophets, are all teachers, are all workers of miracles, do all have gifts of healings, do all speak with tongues, do all interpret, but earnestly seek the better gifts, and yet I show you a more excellent way.
And so one thing that when we look at what became of the new covenant assembly, the way Israel moved after Yeshua, after the Spirit was poured out, when the people Israel kind of had this change in things. When we go back and look at the Old Testament, so-called Old Testament, and how things operated, there was a time when even when we look at the Torah, right, you have Moses. The Most High spoke to Moses. Moses spoke to the people. Moses was the one that heard from the Most High, and then he said what the Most High said to him, to the people. Israel went through a time when the prophets kind of led the nation. Even when there was kings, the prophets were speaking to the kings what the Most High said. When you think about Israel kind of in the kind of Babylonian time, you see like Ezekiel and Isaiah were Babylonian captivity prophets, where you got the nation where the nation is kind of just doing what it's doing, and the prophets that are speaking out to the people, where they're not necessarily leading the people, but they're the ones that the Most High is speaking to speak to the people, for them to turn back to them. And so when we look over here, by the time we get all the way up to the time after Yeshua, after the Spirit's being poured out, we see this new kind of dynamic thing that happens, where you have kind of these parts, where the emissary is the apostle, the one that goes out, right? And so the 12 disciples end up being the 12 apostles. So the apostles, they went out and they basically were what, I don't know, what you would think of the way like mainstream Christianity would be, like a bishop has like, he's like, has like the churches, and then under the bishop is like the pastors of the churches. So he set up a situation, and he'll set up like how Paul went out and he set up the churches. He set up these different assemblies, and he gave them a foundation and then he went off and set up something else somewhere else, and left for them to go and take care of whatever they took care of. And so then they have prophets, and you still have these ones who hear from the Most High, but there's a system that's set up where you have these prophets, these ones that's hearing from the Most High, but then you also have these teachers, because the teachers is going to go back and say, well, you said that the Most High said this, so let me see what it say in the book.
Exactly.
See if we can figure this out, how it's supposed to be like.
But what about? I'm gonna wait till the Most High talk to me before I do something.
Well, this is what I'm saying. When we look over here, it's a body.
It looked like
And
something.
so if you got a thing that you're unsure about, you don't have to try to have the thing figured out for yourself.
Exactly.
You could take the thing to the elders. You could take the
Exactly.
thing to, maybe you're not hearing as clear as you might want to hear from the Most High. You're going
Right.
to go to the ones who know that they do.
Exactly.
And then you're going to go to the ones who understand. You think that the Most High said for you to go do X, Y, Z. And then you tell somebody who knows what the scripture says. You go to the teacher.
Exactly.
And you say, the Most High told me to do X, Y, Z. And then the teacher look at what you said, and then he look at the scriptures and say, well, the scriptures don't say nothing like that.
Right.
And so now you got to
Exactly.
rework. Either you didn't hear it right,
Right.
or you didn't hear from him at all.
Exactly.
And
No,
so
that's keep going. This is so good.
but he set up the checks and balances
Right.
for the people. And then so just like how with Israel, they had the elders and the judges and all of this, the council, they was able to work things out among themselves. If they got to a place where they couldn't work things out, then now they gotta reach out to the apostle and see what he got to say about the thing.
Mhm.
But there's always somebody to go back to and look and see what are we supposed to be doing. Nobody was just like, I'll just wait and see what the Most High is going to tell me to do.
People think Paul was like that. Paul answered to the elders.
He did.
People think Paul was the final authority.
He
Nah,
wasn't.
bro. He wasn't.
They went back. He went back to and answered back to the 12 original. There was always these checks and balances because you was dealing with one body.
Exactly. To sum it up, the spirit works through people. You don't gotta sit there and get an epiphany like in the middle of the woods. It's people who are, when we exercise in the spirit, it grows in all of us, and then we can all benefit from it. That's the point.
Yeah.
The Most High done set up so you gotta be in the dark room and the spirit. He talked to me. He told me to do. Nah,
No, but he might do that.
he might.
But the thing is that then you take what that thing that you had and then
Run
you
it through.
deal
Run
yeah.
through the body.
But sometimes that person, you could be in that dark room and get a phone call. You be like, come fellowship. That could be the most. That's the message right there.
Yeah.
Right.
We have to be able to. First of all, we got to be connected with the Most High, and but when we're not connected to Him, we don't recognize when we deal with people that are connected to Him.
Right.
When we're connected to them, and then we're able to recognize when we deal with others that are also connected to Him.
Right.
And so the problem is that, as you were saying earlier, is that we have this idea of people not understanding the idea of humility and submission and understanding that I don't know anything and I need for somebody to show me what to do. When you look at the process. When Paul sits up here and talks about Torah being the schoolmaster leading you unto Messiah, there's a process when you have to learn to know what it is know what the character of the Most High is before you're able to walk in it properly.
Right.
You got to know what his character is, and that goes from learning and training and you riding your bike with the training wheels on. Where you got the training wheels and you can lean to the side, but the training wheel won't catch you. The practical application of the training wheels is you don't know what you're supposed to do, so I'm going to tell you what to do until you could do it by yourself, until you're able to do it through the Most High actually talking to you, because you not able to hear what he's saying to you. You can't hear him talking because you ain't tuned in yet. And then even if you did hear him talking, you're not sure to say if it's him talking to you because you don't know what the word says.
Some evidence of that. When I first started reading my Bible, and I was like, man, this sound like black people. And then I heard a voice in my head say, that is your people. And I know who that. What I thought it was me talking to myself. You know what I mean? And so I didn't. I'm a newborn. I didn't know nothing. And so literally, I rejected that because literally, I didn't know that was the Holy Spirit trying to, reveal something to me. And I rejected it, not knowing what was going on.
Yeah. And so that's how a lot of people do. A lot of people do that because you just don't know. But he set it up for us to be in a situation where it's okay if you don't know, because you have people who do know, who are able to lead you in a particular direction until you're able to take the training wheels off and ride unassisted.
But what do you know? You don't know what I go through. You don't know what I go through.
Yeah. The people gonna say all of those things, and I probably don't know what you go through.
But everything's in the book. Like the correction for most life's issues and ailments.
Everything you want is in
the book.
Everything.
I don't need to know exactly what you go through. Because it can be cured with the book.
No, I don't need to know the specifics. If I know that, I don't know what your problem is, but I know that if you trust in the Most High, he can get you through any situation. He's able to get you through any situation.
Anything.
So
anything you come up with could be fixed. You can get it through it.
And
you humble yourself.
I mean, that's the thing. That's the thing. That's the thing. People don't want to do that.
Nope.
People don't want to do that, and Yeshua's telling people to do that, but he's not directly saying it, right? Because if he's saying that you got to be as a little child in order to come to the kingdom, he's saying you got to be as a little child. But if you think about what he's saying, a child is led somewhere.
Right.
A child is taught. A child is nourished. You got to be in a place where you're able to be led and be taught and be nourished if you want to be naked in the kingdom. And so people don't want that. And the thing about the Most High, he'll give you what you want.
Yeah. He will. He said, "Not gonna ask," but do you know what you're asking for?
Yes.
That's the thing. What you ask for, what the process really is.
Whether you need it or want or not.
Trust me, you'll find out whether you're on the right road or not.
Yeah.
You will know.
Real fast. Real fast.
They'll show you. Yeah. But can we get Sarah, Ecclesiasticus chapter 2 at the top. Cause yeah, when people ask for it, most times they ain't. You know, like the process to success is generally a lot of failure. People want success without the failures, without bumping your head.
Yeah, you can't.
It's not possible. Like
No.
nobody is that good in life. Even if you're a natural at anything, you're gonna have failures. So you gotta be able to withstand these failures and keep going. This was 2. Okay.
Chapter 2.
It says, this is Ecclesiastes. There's Ecclesiastic cuts.
Hold on. Ecclesiasticus. Oh, so right.
2.
4.
Sorry. Ecclesiasticus chapter 2, verse 1. This is the Apocrypha. Anybody listening don't know. It's in the Apocrypha. It says, "My son, if thou come to serve the master, prepare thy soul for temptation. Set your heart aright, which is your mind." You got to set your heart aright because it's not going to be, it's not easy. Everybody, you calling people in. The scriptures say bring forth fruit that's meet for repentance, but it ain't going to be easy. This is it's a selection process right now. The path is, you should have said the path is wide. The right way is narrow. Stay on that narrow path. It takes focus, concentration, it takes humility, all these different things you need to walk down this path. It says set your heart aright and constantly endure. If you have to endure something, that means it's hard. If something's easy, there's no endurance necessary
No,
there. It's
you're just coasting.
I was running. Give the people example here. I didn't know I could run long distance until all these years until I got to high school, and about halfway through high school, we was in gym class. I had asthma. I got asthma, all this stuff. I'm like, man, I'll run the hallway. Look, see me down the hallway. I'll get you with this 40, 100-yard dash. Let's go. But he was a track teacher, a track coach, and in gym class, and he was like, "You should come out for cross country." I'm like, what? I'm like, I got asthma. Like, I don't know what you're talking about, but he's like, no, I'm telling you, come on out. I started running miles. I didn't know that. I didn't know I could do that. I didn't know it was possible. But if he didn't see that in me, I would have never attempted it, or I'd help let the stigma of like, oh, you got asthma, you can't do this, hold me back to never even try it.
Yeah, for the rest of your life.
But it took him to see that in me.
And then you to do it.
To do it. Now, was it easy? No, but he knew I was capable of doing it. And so one thing that in tracking in any sport is endurance. To get better and to go to the next level, you gotta endure. It's pain. It's hard. Build your muscles up, your lung, your wind up to keep doing it to finish the race. So it says, just say to constantly endure. And it says, make not haste in time of trouble. So when things come upon you, where it look like it's troubling and you want to give up,
I'm down with this.
yeah, I'm gonna just throw it. I'm out of breath because I could have did that. My first practices, I stayed with the seniors. I was with the seniors because you had the little people and then you got the people who. So I fell asleep. This is one of the part of the funny. Is after practice, I fell asleep at the bus stop. I was so beat, but I did it. Then when I became a senior, everybody telling me to slow down. Everybody it was like, nah, I'm trying, y'all gotta stay with me. Like, what y'all doing? But see, people don't got that endurance. They want to be like, oh, cause our to even start practice, cause I went to Shinley. You had to run through Shinley Park was a warm up. So we leave Shinley, run through Shinley Park, then go to CMU track to start the workout. And I would be like, all right, let's go. Because I'm like trying to get there. I was working and stuff too. I was going to work after that too. So it was like, all right, let's go. And they like, we're going to slow down. You know what I mean? And the coaches would drive past in the car and be like, y'all need to hurry up and this, and that. Don't be lollygag. But what it takes is endurance. And it's going to be, everything in life worth having is hard.
Yeah.
It's hard. Anything easy, that means it can go away easy. It's not really valuable. It's not worth nothing. Verse 3, cleave unto him and depart not away that thou mayest be increased in the last end. So your strength, you need to stay in these scriptures and people that stay in these scriptures, so that way the spirit inside of you can increase, and so you can lean on the Most High, lean on His Spirit, the Messiah's Spirit inside of you. So when things get hard, you're not blown away. You're not giving into the wickedness or whatever spirit comes your way to take you away. And verse 4, whatsoever is brought upon thee, take cheerfully, and be patient when you're changed to a lower state. So when it get hard, you're supposed to have your anchor is the Spirit. This book is the Most High, the law, statutes, and commandments to anchor you, so you don't want to go do wicked. It's like, you know what? These things that come upon me are supposed to make me stronger. That's how you're supposed to look at it. And verse 5, it says, for gold is tried in the fire. How you purify gold? See, people, we more valuable than gold, because gold is an inanimate thing. A person's life, all of us are not replaceable. Once we go, we out of here. So people are, but to purify us, the scriptures say that the word is a fire. The spirit is a spirit. So it's gonna burn you up at first. We got things in us that when we speak this word, it's gonna burn you up. You ain't gonna like to hear it. I don't like that.
All them impurities.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but that's the impurity in your spirit that needs to be burnt out. And then you're gonna shine like gold. It says an acceptable man in the furnace of adversity. You're not going to get to the kingdom without adversity. Just believe in Him, and He will help thee. Order your way of right and trust in Him. I'm gonna stop it right there, because you can read the whole thing and keep going. But in a nutshell, that
Yeah.
just wanted to pull that out, because that's major.
Yeah, it is.
We gotta understand that this ain't gonna be easy, but you gotta endure. You gotta keep pushing. You know the right path, you know the right way, and you gotta buy into the process. You gotta go through the process. We all had our initiation and our things we had to go through to get to the point we're at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very good. And so again, when we're thinking about all of these things, understanding that this is a body. We are a nation. We are a body of people, all working towards one particular goal, which is the kingdom. And we got to be about, first of all, we got to be about getting to the kingdom. And then second of all, we got to be about expanding the kingdom. And, third of all, we got to be about making sure the one that's next to us and that's around us get there with us. It's a body. If we're a body, if we think about this as a body, if my foot is hurting, I'm just not gonna say, well, I got another one. I'm gonna try to figure out how I get that pain to go away. What's wrong with it? I got something stuck in it or something? Do I gotta do some kind of surgery on myself or something? Like, what's the issue here? Like, and so and
My back, I needed that back to be working.
I know.
Last
And
week.
then we can't sit up there and then don't let people help us. You know what I'm
I
saying?
guess I didn't.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
Because the Most High
He wanted to crack my back. I
Yeah,
said,
I've been
no.
watching YouTube videos. I'm almost a chiropractor.
Sorry,
I know what to do. I could move it. You know what I'm saying? I could move it. I've been watching YouTube. I'm just saying we we have to trust in the spirit of the Most High in our brothers and our sisters. Because he not giving us everything as individuals. He giving us like 80%, and then that other 20%, somebody else got that, and you gotta get it from them.
Exactly.
I don't know what the percentages are, but that's what you know what I mean.
He ain't making you to be independent.
You not 100% is the point.
Right.
You lacking something, and somebody else got that something that you need,
Yep.
and the only way you get to be 100% is through them.
Yep.
He gave us the example whenever he just made man. He made man in such a way where, you know, we understood that we needed a counterpart. We need this other thing over here in order to to be like the animals, even. Right? We need this other thing. We need something outside of ourselves in order to be everything that you want for us to be. And so, you know, that's what it is in the body of Messiah. We need one another. We need to be able to trust in the Most High, and we need to be able to trust in the Most High in other people, so that we're able to be everything that He wants for us to be.
That's the whole body. Yep.
Okay, so that being said, does anybody have any thoughts or questions or comments as we begin to end?
I'm gonna just say, the race is not given to the swift, but him that endures to the end. That's what I'm saying.
That's end on that note.
I will keep going.
Okay, so that being said, we're gonna say Shabbat Shalom,
Shabbat shalom.
and y'all willing, on next week we will be back doing this all over again. All right. Okay. All right. Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom, you are invited to the 2021 Adorning the Bride Virtual Hebrew Women's Conference. This free event will be hosted on the Zoom platform August 1st through the 4th, 2021. Registration is only available on Eventbrite. Either see the link in the description section of this video or simply enter Adorning the Bride on eventbrite.com to register for the conference. Registration includes an ORIB coupon code and a free digital download prayer journal. This year's conference will feature 5 dynamic sessions from 8 amazing women of Yah. Topics include the process of becoming the bride, they are watching, Hebraic motherhood, it was more than a bath, the comforting of the bride, Titus 2, the inner adorning of the bride, and the process of promises. We welcome all Bible-believing women to come and be adorned. Register now. Please share with your friends and family. Then I got some ashwagandha.